You're religious?
Yeah, well, I mean, so my matrilineally speaking, I'm Jewish, but I was raised Catholic, it's
What does that mean? Are you practicing in the middle of ketamine?
No,
and
I'm perfect.
12-hour fuck sessions.
Yeah, yes. Well,
like, that's not very religious.
Rich
dude.
older men in dresses. What's not to love? If it hadn't been for Father Michael, I wouldn't have made nearly as much money in my 20s. He taught me to give such good head. I gave such good blowjobs after 3 years in choir. No, I mean.
So you're not religious?
No, I believe. I don't necessarily go to mass all the time, but I
you
do
believe
what?
Believe.
I'm a Catholic. I would call myself a Catholic. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a good Catholic, but you know.
But when you say you believe in what? The Bible?
Well, I believe in Catholicism. I'm a Catholic, I think.
So you believe that it's a good idea to have confession,
yeah.
and you have a dude who never has sex ever, listening to fuck stories whispered through a hole in the wall, and he absolves
this is like
you.
Don't cut baby dicks, you know. For
That's what confession is.
For a dreary nitpicker, you
have
quite the turn of phrase.
Dressed like a wizard, sitting on a golden throne.
All right, we're done.
And you have to call him Father. That all makes sense to you?
Do you know what?
I went to Catholic school, by the way.
Do you know what? This world could do with a bit more pomp and circumstance, a little bit more drama, and
Says
a little bit
the
more...
man who supports the fucking matriarchy.
Do you know what this world could do with a little bit more of that? I mean, just look at the dreary hell of the atheist art scene. Look at the sum total
the
of
atheist art scene.
Like contribution to
Who
human.
the fuck is searching the atheist art scene?
No, but I mean, like what I mean is,
you want to look at the atheist art scene. Look at almost all the good movies ever made. Look at almost all the great albums ever made. Look at almost all the great comedians that have ever told jokes ever.
Compare Hollywood,
That's the atheist
Hollywood
art scene.
to St. Peter's Basilica.
No.
Or Hollywood to the Blue Mosque,
for
that
comics.
matter.
Like if you
I don't
line
think
them
comedians
up,
contribute to the sum total of
99.999%.
human civilization and knowledge in the way that
art scene,
in the way that
art
Michelangelo did.
Painters.
Oh yes, Van Gogh.
Today?
Yes, today. Dreary, awful, boring.
How
Terrible.
dare you? All of them that are atheists.
Atheism is for people with mediocre intelligence.
It totally makes sense.
No, you need religion to be a good person, but you especially need religion to be a good artist.
Well, you need to pick and choose what you do that you decide is religious and isn't. Same with this Kim Davis lady deciding that the sins of these men were more important than their own sins. When you want to do ketamine and amphetamines and have sex with black guys.
I was speaking purely
You were talking about
theoretically.
fivesomes at the age of 13. Okay? These are all not in the Bible. You can look in the Bible all day. You'll never find drag queen fivesomes. It's not in Leviticus. It's in Leviticus.
It's right there.
You got to go to the Old Testament.
I think you're looking at King James, aren't you? If you actually
I look at both of them. Dude, I read
it's right there in Leviticus.
I read the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Christian
Man shall lie
myth.
with interracial cross-dressing orgies. It's right there. It's in my Bible.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? Like if you say you're Christian and you want to be on that team, you got to kind of say it.
You can aspire to be better than you are.
Aspire to be better than you are doesn't mean you believe in Jewish zombies.
We're not going to win this one. I'm not going to win this one.
Well, of course you're not. This one's ridiculous. This one's ridiculous. You're talking about shit written on animal skins by people who thought the world was flat and the sun was 17 miles away. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's going to make you a better person. It's totally, they found it in clay pots in Qumran. Yeah, they unscrolled. They had to do DNA tests to find out which piece of fucking yak ass this piece was written on.
I feel sorry for people who have a sort of bleak, empty existence of
militant
that's
not
atheism.
bleak or empty.
It's just so boring.
A lack of belief in nonsense is not bleak.
Terrible way to look at the world.
A lack of belief in nonsense is not bleak.
Well, you believe plenty of nonsense.
Like what? Name one thing.
Well, you're sort of silly. You've got a silly view on circumcision, as we've discovered.
On baby dick cutting.
Baby dick cutting. My God.
We agreed to disagree.
For a dreary nitpicker, you're a hell of a fucking drama queen.
It's baby dick cutting. You tell me what it is.
God,
Tell me what it is.
No, okay.
What is it? If it's not baby dick cutting.
I'm going to give you... You win. I'm just going to give it to you.
Come on, you're the one who brought up the baby dick cutting. Call it something else. What is it?
I think it's good grooming.
If aliens came down from another planet and saw us cut all the baby dicks, they'd be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
It's just good. What
are you doing?
It's just good grooming. Just good grooming.
Okay. Obviously, we disagree. What other ridiculous shit do I believe? That's akin to Jewish zombies or guys who turn wine and
stop it.
out of water.
You know what? there's nothing more depressing than seeing somebody who you admire, who's obviously smart and clever,
who won't
and
buy
interesting.
into old fairy tales.
No, to speak so disparagingly about such a complex and fascinating part of who we are.
You're
now,
right.
Look at
totally.
Even if you take the view, let's say Ludwig Feuerbach, right? Even if you take the Feuerbachian view, and say, I don't believe in what any of these religions say.
Okay.
But if we look at what they have in common and what that says about the human spirit, what we aspire to, what we consider most important. So, for example, Christianity, we might consider self-sacrifice and love the most important things, because self-sacrifice and love are the two central instincts that run, the red threads that run through the Christian canon, run through Christian literature, run through Christian history.
If that was the most important thing,
is this? Okay, I don't believe in this stuff, but this is an essential human artifact of human culture and history, because it teaches us more about ourselves than anything else.
Right.
It teaches us over centuries this has evolved to teach us what we find most important. And different religions in different places are fascinating because they illustrate the different emphases on those core values of love and charity and self-sacrifice that different societies place on things. Now, I'm not asking you to believe that when you take Holy Communion, you are ingesting the body and blood of Christ. That's not going to happen.
God.
But what I am suggesting is you shouldn't be such a dismissive asshole about such an integral, rich, beautiful, and crucial part of human history that teaches us so much about who we are.
Okay, first of all, this is a disingenuous argument. This is a disingenuous argument because you were mocking me about making fun of things that are absolutely preposterous, like coming back from the dead, healing people, turning wine.
No, what I'm saying is, even if you only believe their stories, these are the most important stories that the Western tradition, the Western
are the most important stories.
The most important stories that have ever been told.
They're folklore.
Even if you believe that, they say something deep and profound about who we are and about what we care about most, about our anxieties, about our beliefs, and about our sympathies, the way we relate to one another, the way that
that's adorable. Just because you say this doesn't mean it's true.
The way that we ought to organize.
This doesn't rationalize ridiculous stories.
I'm presenting one reason why you should be less flippant and dismissive about religion, because you are too smart to be that much of a cunt about religion.
No, I'm flippant and dismissive about it because I can't believe it's still here.
You are far too smart. You are far too intelligent and individual to treat religion with the amount of contempt you do. This is what assholes do. This is
not what assholes
mediocre intelligence, militant
exactly what you
atheists
accuse feminists of doing.
No, it's not.
You're distorting the argument. The reality is we're talking about myths, and we're talking about people that believe those myths so much that they won't let people get married because it goes against their myth.
And I'm saying that you can disagree with them.
Isn't that what happened?
You can disagree with.
But that's what happened, right? Where's the love and compassion from Kim Davis?
You can disagree with everything that they teach. You can say that it's nonsense. You can agree that you can, if you want to agree that it has bad consequences in society. That it's an anachronism from the past.
Consequences.
What you shouldn't do is ridicule and dismiss, sort of the Jewish zombie shit, right? You're just doing it to be outrageous. You're just doing it to provoke.
No, that's what it is.
What you shouldn't do. And look, there's
I'm not doing it to be outrageous.
There's a good place for outrageousness and provocation, right? And I'm not trying to put you on trial here. What I'm saying is you're too smart to fall into this habit, and it's a leftist thing, this militant atheism crap, where you dismiss the central importance of religion to our culture and
what
to
is
who
the
we
central
are.
importance?
Well,
it got us through barbaric days with rules where we worried about the consequences of God's punishing us.
Most of our laws are based on religious prescription when you get down to it.
But
most of the way society is organized
is
based on what's ultimately religious prescription. My point is simply and only that if you're going to be a flippant asshole, at least acknowledge that, first of all, half the population, does take this stuff seriously. And second of all, this is important stuff that tells us about who we are. And I think it's beneath you to be so flippant about it. I'm flippant about feminism because feminism
is not important stuff that tells us about who we are today.
I'm flippant and cruel and vindictive and spiteful and horrible about crazy feminists because they're crazy and because what they do is ridiculous. I don't think, whether or not you're an atheist, that religion is ridiculous. And I think it deserves a bit more respect.
Well, that's fine. You're allowed to think it, but just because you think it doesn't mean it's right.
No,
and the idea that it makes you a flippant asshole because you're unwilling to accept myths. You're unwilling to accept things that make no sense whatsoever. You're unwilling to accept things that are scientifically disproven.
You're not acknowledging the extent to which religion has made you who you are. I mean, from the speech codes,
the rejection
from
of
the
it, maybe?
speech codes that you grow up with, your moral codes,
come
the whole
on, stop.
basis.
That doesn't mean the myths aren't stupid.
No, I didn't say that.
That doesn't mean the myths aren't stupid.
Atheist.
No,
be an atheist.
No, you know what got us to here? You know what got us to here? People. People, not religion.
Your sense of right and wrong.
Religion, which was created by people.
Your sense of right and wrong comes from a Judeo-Christian tradition.
Bullshit.
And it's interesting.
Your sense of right and wrong does not come from that. That's not true.
Very angry.
It's not true.
Your sense of right and wrong comes from Judeo-Christian tradition.
You got to stop saying that because it's not true.
I haven't got to stop saying it.
It's cultural.
Obviously
it's
true.
cultural.
So I see.
There's right and wrong in other cultures that's completely different from what we consider right and wrong in America. Look at New Guinea. Do you know about the sperm warriors in New Guinea? These men that take these young boys when they're young and inseminate them, put cum in their mouths and their asses to make them grow. They do that from the time they have
Isn't that just called homosexuality?
No,
sounds great.
It's their culture. It's what's right and what's wrong for them. Things that would be absolutely illegal, would lock you up in jail for in America and in Europe. In New Guinea, this is like a great long tradition, a big part of their culture.
And they're not Judeo-Christians, are they? No.
It's cultural.
Yes, exactly. It is cultural, and you grew up in a Judeo-Christian culture. Therefore, you have good values that I agree with.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
You just made my argument for me.
No,
you made my argument for me.
You
just made it for me. You grew up in a place where there's Christianity. You're a good person. This place where there's no Christianity, they come in boys' mouths.
There's one place that has a fucked up way of looking at things. It's a cultural thing. It has nothing to do with Christianity.
Everywhere that doesn't have a strong Christian heritage is a fucked up place with bad morals.
That's a ridiculous statement. That's a ridiculous statement. Everywhere that doesn't have Judeo-Christian values is a fucked up place.
I think that yes, I think it should be perfectly reasonable, respectable thing to say that our culture is better. I believe our culture is better than everywhere else in the world.
Culture of Christians.
I think
Christians that are running around doing ketamine and fucking each other.
European and American culture, which is based on Judeo-Christian values, is better than other cultures. I think it's uncontroversial to say so.
But what's based on Judeo-Christian values about being a good person?
Ultimately, our sense of right and wrong comes from the Bible.
What?
It does.
What comes from the Bible?
Ultimately, our sense of right and wrong comes from the Bible.
Our sense of right and wrong.
I think your sense of...
there's the only way that a person could have ethics and morals and treat each other well.
No, I didn't say the only way.
Don't you think that people understand what's good and what's bad? Listen, if we're going to have a conversation, we can't keep talking over each other like this. When someone's trying to make a point about something that's complex like this, if you think that the only way for a person to have ethics or an understanding of each other or compassion for each other is to rely on ancient myths that are easily scientifically disproven, well, that's what Christianity is.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the specific set of values that you have is influenced more than you would like to admit by your Judeo-Christian heritage.
It's influenced by
there are certain things that I think all of us have. I mean, look, I think that some of what we would call morality obviously comes from natural revulsion, which is more like biological, right? Then this is some of the prescriptions perhaps against murder, perhaps against child abuse, that kind of stuff, right? Comes from a sort of natural revulsion, and it may be an evolutionary biological imperative. There are certain things that we just know we shouldn't do, right? And that's our body saying, ugh, no, like the smell of rotten food, or stuff like that, yeah. But there are other things that definitely come from the Judeo-Christian tradition that has defined most of what we consider to be right and wrong in the West, and I think our society is the better for it, and I think that our society is better than elsewhere in the world.
But you yourself and your lifestyle is proof positive that this the evolution of what this used to be and what it is today.
Evolutionarily speaking, I'm an outlier because, I mean, as you'll know, gay people generally test higher for IQ than the rest of the population, and lots of evolutionary biologists will suggest that gay people with high IQs tend to engage in dissident or unusual habits and practices in general, because that's where Mother Nature does her experimentations, where she tests the limits of the species. So people with very high IQ are more likely to be homosexual, goes the evolutionary biology argument, because it's in those very smart people that the sort of the transgressive dissident stuff is tried out by Mother Nature. So I would say I'm probably an outlier there as a very smart homosexual. I'm not typical of sort of of the kind of bulk of the species.
Right, but what you are.
I mean, I might take it to extremes.
Who you are, but who you are. Being a gay man
who I am.
that's
how
promiscuous.
I behave. It's what I do.
But that is prohibited in the Bible.
Yes, but I agree that it would be better if I didn't behave like this, and if I could
choose
to be heterosexual,
so you're a
I would do so.
Self-loathing homosexual.
No, and I won't have this. You need to read a wonderful essay by Bret.
No, I don't need to read shit. I need to know what the fuck you're saying.
Okay, so Bret Easton
because what you're saying is who you are is
no, it's not who
is
you,
prohibited
it's not
in the
who
Bible.
You are, because I don't think my sexuality is an important component.
It's a huge
of my
part of you. You talk about it all the time.
Well,
it's a massive part of what we've talked about on the show.
I think
it comes up anytime you want to make a funny point. It comes up anytime you want to define your sexuality or your urges or your decadence. I think you jump to it because I think it's you.
Well, I think people leap to the most different thing about themselves, or the most unusual thing about themselves, anytime they want to be funny or be, black. That's why black comedians talk about being black a lot. Chris Rock always talks about, blacks and the N-word. It's why, Muslim comedians only ever talk about Islam. It's, gay comedians talk about being gay. I think that's, you go to that because it's the most different, funny thing about you. It's a sort of a form of laziness, I suppose.